Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Welcome back to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with me, Karl Fitzpatrick. Well, a recent Southeast Economic Monitor report indicated that the region's VAT intake is lower than other regions in the country. Billy Sweetman, partner with PwC, joins me now to explain this VAT leakage and to advise us of some key strategic considerations as businesses move forward after COVID-19. Billy, you are perfectly positioned to gauge business sentiment in the region at present. So what are your clients saying to you in this respect?
Good morning, Karl, and thanks for having me onto your show. I suppose it's really a range of different reactions, Karl, we're seeing from clients. I suppose some are very concerned about the future of their business. We surveyed some CFOs recently, and a quarter predicted that their business would decline by in excess of 25% in the year to come. And a quarter also believed that it would take them more than a year to recover to pre-COVID-19 levels. On a positive side, I suppose, a vast majority would see greater levels of remote working going forward, and a real concentration now on trying to reconfigure work settings to get people back to work as soon as they can.
Now, PwC have highlighted a particular concern about the VAT take in the region compared to its relative population. What are the figures illustrating in that respect, Billy?
I suppose what it's saying, these are figures from the Southeast Economic Monitor published by Waterford Institute of Technology. And it starts with saying, the Southeast has 8.9% of the national population. But in terms of the national GDP, we're only delivering 5.4%, and we only have 5.3% of IDA jobs. So we're not getting our fair share in terms of those metrics. So, for example, in terms of the IDA jobs, that's a deficit of around 8,000 jobs in the region. So that's quite significant. So I suppose that's partly some of the VAT hole, and the other part of the VAT hole is a lot of online purchasing from outside the region.
And is the economic impact of COVID-19 likely to widen the gap over the coming months?
I suppose that's the concern. I suppose up to the onset of COVID-19, things had been generally improving in the southeast. So the concern is that that narrowing of the gap will cease. But I think on a positive side, Wexford is going to benefit as a staycation location this summer. 90% of people, when they were surveyed, said they do want to travel once restrictions are lifted. And Wexford is one of the top 3 staycation destinations, along with Kerry and Galway.
Now, Billy, there's no doubting that we're living through very uncertain times economically. I know that you've identified 6 strategic areas that businesses need to consider going forward. What are these?
Couldn't agree more, Karl. These are unprecedented times for businesses. So firstly, I'd encourage them to prepare for different scenarios. No one can predict how the future is going to pan out. So therefore you need to think of it as under different headings, and look at the sensitivity analysis around those. And I think that will help highlight what the potential risks and opportunities are for your business. Secondly, I suppose support your talent. Companies have been rewarded by remarkable loyalty and resilience of their employees over the COVID-19 period, with companies and service providers achieving virtually the impossible of being able to deliver a full service offering remotely nearly overnight. So it's important that businesses continue to support their people during that period of time, and also think of new ways to engage with their people. Next, and probably number 3, is to make sure you have an agile organisation. And I suppose those organisations who have the ability to be flexible, can make rapid decisions, and action the crisis, have probably come through the strongest. So, those companies that are lean, efficient, they certainly have done well. Tax is always an opportunity and a threat. So certainly look at your tax position, capital expenditure, what tax deductions you might be able to get. Is this an opportune time for succession planning? And then whether you want to incentivise, say, your senior management with share incentives or the like, is certainly worth looking at again. I mentioned earlier looking at online and trying to maximise the use of online for your business, be it a product or a service. And then I suppose the final one is, there's a new set of risks out there from the change in working styles around cyber risk. So certainly we'd encourage businesses to reconsider, have they exposed themselves to additional cyber risk as a result of working from home and other changes in practices.
But Billy, from a practical perspective, how can businesses prepare for different scenarios when so many of the variables are still unknown?
Yeah, I suppose the issues such as, do we get a second wave? How will the global economy perform? They're all big assumptions to make. But I suppose it comes down to probably how are they going to play out in terms of demand for your product or service, and what will the different scenarios have in terms of your cost base.
Now, and of course, you're advising business owners to support their talent. With many people now working remotely, what advice have you got for them and how best to do that?
Yeah, one of the initiatives that we took off on ourselves probably 18 months ago or so was to try and digitally upskill ourselves and all of our colleagues. And we actually have a product called a digital fitness app. And in response to COVID-19, it was an internal PwC app originally, but now we've opened it up to anyone who wants to utilise it. And it allows people to explore areas that they just mightn't have thought about before or knew where to access information on. So, for example, if you have an interest in Internet of Things or blockchain, or when I say those words you don't even know what they mean, well then the digital fitness app might be for you in that it allows you to actually upskill yourself in bite-sized portions.
And in relation to building an agile organisation, how can business owners build a culture of flexibility and adaptability within their organisations?
Yeah, I suppose that's it's a bit like muscles. The harder you work them out, the better they become. So, some of it is actually empowering staff to make the decisions as to where is the right place for them to work, what are the hours that they can actually do their work in and manage other parts of their life. And I think one of the issues there we'll certainly see is a greater level of home working or remote working. It mightn't actually be at home. You might work actually remotely in an office hub. But certainly if it saves us all commutes to and from in Dublin, I think that's to be looked forward to.
And crucially, from a tax perspective, what are the key focus points for leveraging tax benefits?
Well, I suppose some of it is looking at your expenditure and making sure that you're categorising that properly and getting a tax deduction where you can, looking at your capital expenditure and maximising the capital allowances on that. And also we've looked at clients on trying to improve the VAT effectiveness of some of their processes as well.
And since the last recession, we have witnessed many startup companies, particularly in the tech space, issuing shares to their employees as part of their remuneration packages. Is this something businesses should be looking at right now?
It's certainly a possible mechanism for incentivization of a key talent. It doesn't work in every situation, and some people for other mechanisms for incentivization, such as long-term bonuses, annual bonuses, retention bonuses or whatever. But certainly it's worth looking at and fully understanding how would it work in your business.
Billy, many of the commentators are saying that we're looking into 17% unemployment rate by the end of this year. What's your outlook for the economy over the next 2 to 3 years?
I think a lot of it will be driven by how does the global economy perform, and also how our new government tackles the issues that's facing it. It's facing an unprecedented economic situation. So therefore, I think the sooner we have a stable government that can pass a budget and develop a medium-term plan to bring Ireland back out of the COVID-19 recession, the better.
And of course, you would have seen from the programme for government that it allows for an increase in both employer and employee PRSI. Is the timing right for that?
Well, I suppose no one likes tax increases, and it's probably it's not going to be popular in any manner or means. But I suppose we are in an unprecedented territory. My own preference would not be to have additional taxes on employment. I think it's by making it easier to employ people and maximising any extra euro they earn, that they take home as much of that as possible, is generally positive for the economy.
And Billy, finally, one piece of takeaway advice for listeners this morning. What is it?
I suppose it's probably back to that planning, scenario planning, and trying to work out, how will you respond in advance of the various scenarios coming through. I think that really, by fully understanding that, by fully understanding the impact that has on your profit and loss account, your balance sheet and your cash flows, I think that best positions your business to be able to react to the challenges that will remain with us.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Billy Sweetman, partner with PwC, and I would like to thank Billy for his contribution to this morning's show.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
South